Welcome to 50 Plus in Montgomery County, a monthly program that is a voice for many, produced by the Commission on Aging. The show is insightful for people of all ages, and each episode takes a fresh look at important issues by spotlighting older adults in the community, representatives of services and programs, and activities of interest to older adults. My name is Katie. On this month's show, we're going to talk about transportation. Here to have that discussion with me is Rachel Goldberg and Denise Israel. Rachel is the Senior Director of Center for Information Services at the Jewish Council for the Aging, or JCA, and Denise is a Program Specialist for Enhanced Mobility and Customer Relations Section Division of Transit Services at the Department of Transportation. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
I'm excited to talk to you, yeah. Well, let's just kick it off real quick. Denise, tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll pivot to Rachel.
Okay, sure. So I've been working with Montgomery County government for about 13 years. I started my career in the senior centers. I've always worked with seniors and persons with disabilities. From there, I went to the Medicaid Transportation Program, which is part of the Department of Transportation, and that basically works with seniors and persons with disabilities and provides them transportation to their medical appointments. And now I'm in my current job, which is a program specialist. I'm working with outreach for DOT, and that I bring awareness to DOT's programs in that job. I visit senior centers along with senior residential facilities, and also I go to community and community events.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what I do to bring awareness and let people know how they can access the services in Montgomery County for transportation.
Wow, so Denise, you've been working on transportation issues for a number of years.
I have.
Okay. You must really love it.
I do. I really enjoy it. I
Okay.
very much enjoy working with seniors and persons with disabilities.
Okay. Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure. I've been working in aging issues and policy and programs for the last, let's say, 20 years.
Wow.
I spent 13 years at B'nai B'rith International handling aging issues and health issues for them, and then spent a while at AARP handling health and aging. And my prior background is as an academic and looking at political science and how people access the services they need through the system we have.
Wow, and was that still focused on aging?
No, I was focused on other issues and happened to stumble on aging and find a home there.
Okay, that's great. All right. Well, thank you both again for being here. Denise, we'll go back to you. You talked a little bit about, or I've learned from you about the Call and Ride program, but for our viewers who don't know what that is, can you talk about it?
Sure. So Call and Ride is a subsidized transportation service, subsidized by the state and the county, and it's for seniors 65 plus, and also for persons with disabilities between the ages of 18 and 62. And it provides them with an alternative or a supplement to the regular transportation services in the county. And it gives them door-to-door transportation service using taxi cab companies, and they pay a discounted rate for those services.
Denise, talk a little bit more about how Call and Ride differs from traditional bus services and rail services.
Well, the big difference is that they're actually using taxi cabs, and they get a Call and Ride swipe card, which allows them to get in the cab and just swipe, and that takes their fare. They're also able to book their own trips through the local county companies, taxi cab companies. So that's the big difference, basically, and it is door-to-door service.
So walk us through, Denise, from the call to then getting the actual service. What happens? So I make a phone call, and then what?
And well, you can make a phone call. You can access for the actual trip. We're saying, okay. So you just give your Call and Ride number. All the cab companies are very familiar with the service. You just give them your Call and Ride number, and they put that in there. As long as that's a good number, they dispatch a cab for you, like a normal cab, like 20-30 minutes. You get a cab ride.
Okay, so I have a call-in number. How do I sign up for that?
Well, you sign up through our website. Well, the applications, I should say, are on our website, the fillable applications, and those can be emailed or faxed to us. You can also send them regular U.S. mail or hand deliver them to us on a Rockville location here. So you just basically have to make sure you have all the information with the application, which tells you online. You need your proof of residence, your proof of age, and also your proof of income.
Okay.
And that comes to our representatives, they review it, and once you're approved, you get your Call and Ride swipe card.
Denise, your services, I think, are complementary to what the Jewish Council for the Aging office offers. So, Rachel, can you tell us about some of the transportation programs that JCA provides?
Sure. One of the programs I'd like to highlight is the Connect a Ride program, which people sometimes confuse with Call and Ride because of the similarity in the names. But Connect a Ride, which we also call CAR, if that helps, is an information and referral service. And what I think is important about that is that we have mobility specialists who are trained in all of the programs that are offered by the county or that are offered in the county for older adults and people with disabilities to access transportation. And so they can help you understand what services are available, what you might qualify for, what might be best suited to you, and then refer you to those services. So that's something that's really important because we can't just send people to a website and hope they can figure it out. What's wonderful in Montgomery County is that there are options, but one of the things that creates is a little bit of confusion sometimes about what's right for you, what will work for what you need. And so CAR is an opportunity for people to call and get real information that's suited to them, that's specialized to what they need, what they qualify for, and what they can do to get where they need to go. So that's one of the things that I'd like people to know about, and to call Connect a Ride whenever you have a question about transportation services for older adults and people with disabilities in this county. It is called Connect a Ride.
So, Rachel, with CAR, I'm going to use the acronym.
Yes, please do.
How do people even learn that the program exists?
Well, we do a great deal of outreach to community centers, senior centers, buildings that house older adults, and other community opportunities where we talk about two things: what CAR offers in terms of specialized advice, but also what those programs are that are out there. We talk about Call and Ride, we talk about Metro Access, we talk about all of those services in the outreach. So we're doing outreach for CAR, but we're also doing information about news you can use, so people are aware of programs that they might want to apply for, that they might want to utilize. So we do a great deal of outreach on that.
Okay, you said Metro Access, so I want to pivot back to Denise. And Denise, if you could, briefly explain Metro Access and how it complements or differs from Call and Ride.
Sure.
Not CAR.
Sure. So Metro Access is a service that's provided by the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, and it is a shared service, and it usually is for people normally who are not able to take public transportation due to a disability. It's a fare associated with it, like the maximum fare is like $4.50 for a one-way trip, and people are, as I said, they can be sharing the ride. Where with Call and Ride, normally, it could be just normally not a shared situation, but also it has to be with Metro Access. You have to schedule it like a day in advance.
Okay.
Call and Ride is you can call the cab company and get service like right away.
Okay.
But a lot of our customers that have Call and Ride also have Metro Access because they complement each other in that it gives you more options and more choices, and your Call and Ride dollars can go further when you have something else to supplement it.
Denise, you may have said this, but how can somebody sign up for Call and Ride?
Call and Ride, through our online application is there. They can actually mail it, fax it, or email it to our offices, and they can also bring it in person to our offices to call. Yes.
And then what about the eligibility requirements again?
So it is an income-based program, and online you will see a list of the eligibility depending on the household eligibility.
Okay.
So there is something online that gives you those parameters, and that would be what you could look at to gauge whether or not you would be eligible for the program. But our representatives are very helpful and always there to help. We have a language line for those who are not English speakers, and it's, they all, any question you have, once you view the website information, you can give us a call, and we'll work with you on that for sure.
Okay. Let's pivot back to JCA.
Sure.
So what are the benefits of your transportation program to older adults and for those with disabilities?
I think that there are many benefits, and one thing I wanted to say is that in addition to CAR, we have an escorted transportation program, which is also funded by the county, and that provides transportation for people who cannot utilize other forms due to a cognitive, physical, mental impairment. So if you need an escort to take you where you're going and to go through the door with you, we've got that as a program. We also have a variety of other bus services that are provided through the county to get people to and from recreation centers, senior centers. But I think one of the important benefits of all of the transportation programs, and the way that I look at them, is that there's a lot of focus on healthy aging, and we want that for everybody. But in order to do that, you need to have more than just good genes and good doctors. You need to have access to those doctors through transportation programs. You need to have access to grocery stores and quality food. You need to not be isolated, so you need to get to social engagements and be able to do those kinds of things. So we see transportation as having a big role in healthy aging. And so that's one of the things that the threads that connects all of the work that we do at JCA, is looking toward the factors that determine whether you really do age in a healthy way and whether you have the option to live long and live well.
What does this mean for people who live, maybe, Rachel, in rural communities or in up county? How do they access your services?
There are services like Call and Ride that operate anywhere in the county. And there are also villages that we work with. I don't know if you wanted to ask about that later, but we work with small community groups called villages that provide volunteer driver services to members of their own communities.
Okay.
And they're spread throughout the county. We'd like to have more in Up County. We'd like to see more services there, and all of the impact of transportation is felt more heavily in more rural areas where there are fewer bus stops and people are further from those stops. So there's more work to do there, but the county does have services. There are ways to work around the distance from a bus stop. There are ways to connect those dots. And I think that's something the county should be very proud of, and we're happy to be able to participate in that by giving people information and access.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned the villages, because there's a lot of synergy between both of the programs, CAR and Call and Ride. But do you have any other partners that you work with aside from the villages, or are they the main ones?
Well, we work with the villages, we work with the county, obviously.
Okay.
That's a big part of what we do. They are supportive of what we do, and they literally support what we do. And we also have partnerships with the state and the Department of Health and Human Services. We provide Medicare information for people who have questions about Medicare. And so we're providing services in a bunch of different areas, but we do a lot of our work with the county. And the work we do with the villages has allowed us to expand our transportation reach far beyond what we could do with escorted transportation and the buses that we offer. It allows us to be involved in facilitating rides that are not only transportation, as I said, but they're also an opportunity to build relationships, having the same driver over and over again maybe, and it being someone in your community who you can get to know. So that program is very important to us. We have 12 villages in Montgomery County. We're adding 2 more in the new year that work with us. There are other villages who are not connected through JCA, but we have we'll have 14 villages in the county, and we have a few in PG as well.
Wow, okay. Well, Denise talked to us about the eligibility requirements for Call and Ride. Can you tell us, Rachel, for JCA, are there any income requirements to use the transportation services for CAR?
For Connect a Ride, it's just older adults and people with disabilities. For escorted transportation in particular, there is an income eligibility, and people have to meet that. And one of the good things I think about CAR being the front transportation door for us is that they can guide you through which programs you might be eligible for. Metro Access obviously has
Talked about that.
income and other limitations, call and ride. So our car can tell you if you're eligible for escorted, and they can send you a Metro Access application, so they can facilitate a lot of that. But yes, some of ours do have income eligibility, but the information and referral is open really to anyone, and you don't have to be an older adult. You can love an older adult and call and get information.
That's really great. Can you say that part again? You don't have to be an older adult.
Yes.
You can just love an older adult
Yes,
and help
absolutely.
them get access to those services.
Yes, absolutely. You don't have to be one. You just love an older adult. You make a call, and we'll help you.
Wow,
Good.
that's great. Can you tell us what other types of programs your transportation services supports? So, for example, what types of trips can people take?
They can take trips to medical appointments, but many of the services also will take you to grocery shopping, errands, even the hairdresser.
Ooh.
So many of the services will do that, not all, but many. And if you are interested in those kinds of things, Connect a Ride is really helpful in letting you know which services do which things, because all of the services offer different opportunities, different restrictions. So that's something that CAR can really help with, and we are glad to have specialists who can answer any transportation question pretty much. I'm very proud to work with them, and they're amazing and dedicated and really just a really amazing asset that we have at JCA.
Okay. Talk to us also, Rachel, what is travel training? I heard about that. So
Travel training is something we do through the CAR program.
Okay.
And it is people who don't use Metro, who don't use the bus services, either Metros or Ride-On. Some don't use them because they're not appropriate for them, and they need a different service, and we've talked about some of those. But some people are just not familiar with them, and if you've ever ridden Metro with somebody who's from out of town, it can be very intimidating if you don't use it very often. How to get a fare card with all those people around, how to pick your route, how to figure out on that map where you're going. That can be a challenge, but it's also something that can be overcome. So with travel training, we take groups of people on a little trip, take them on a ride-on bus, take them on the Metro round trip. Well, obviously we bring them back, and get them a fare card and let them see how that whole process works, and it becomes much less intimidating when you've done it.
Great.
And so that's a very important thing that we do, that the county allows us to do, and we provide that. If anyone is interested, please contact CAR, and we will see if we can set up a group. If you are interested from a senior village or a community center or senior center, we're happy to set up a travel training.
Okay. Denise, you said for Call and Ride that it covers the entire county in terms of a service area. When we were asking about, rural communities. But can you tell us, what sorts of appointments people can access using the service?
Well, fortunately, they can use it for any purpose, as long as it's within Montgomery County. They can also use it for medical appointments outside of the county, but those have to be approved through our offices, where they would just call and make the appointment themselves with the cab driver, or the cab company, I should say. But if they're going outside of the county, they would call us, and we would verify it and send it over to the cab company for them. They need to call us a day in advance for that service.
So Denise, Rachel mentioned Prince George's County because JCA operates in Prince George's too, or at least has partnerships?
Yes, we do have partnerships in PG.
Okay. So then if someone wants to go to Prince George's County, that's when they'd have to get the
only for
verification?
medical purposes.
Only for medical purposes.
Only for medical purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, normally they would not be able to travel to PG County with Call and Ride.
Okay.
Strictly within the county.
Okay.
Other than a medical appointment.
Okay. Well, if someone doesn't qualify for Call and Ride, what other services are available in Montgomery County for them?
Well, one service I really wanted to highlight is same-day access, which is a part of the Call and Ride program. And same-day access doesn't have any income requirements. It's basically as long as you have an active certified Metro Access card, and you're able to use it, Metro Access card, you're able to use it. And what it does is, it does the exact same thing Call and Ride does, but it'll give you like $30. For $30, you get $60 worth of cab trips per month, but you pay $30. That's your copay. But it does give you door-to-door service, and it's great for a supplement to Metro Access.
Okay. Denise, I have one more question for you. What do you wish that residents knew more about this program?
I just think that I want them to know that it's very accessible and easy to use. We have like 5,400 residents currently using the program.
Wow.
And it's a great supplement to regular transportation programs within the county, and you can pair it with things like Metro Access and things of that nature. So and we have won several National Association of County Awards for the Call-in Ride program. Wow. So I just want to encourage people who think they're eligible to check our website and apply, because it really can help with, as Rachel indicated, getting people out of the house, help with isolation issues. It's a very valuable service. Okay. So I just like to see them apply for the service.
Okay. Now, Denise, you prompted a few more questions for me.
Sure.
So of that 5,400 number, are you seeing an uptick, or is that average across the number of years? Let's say the last 5.
No, that's a current number.
A current number.
So it has been an uptick.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
We're getting more. Last year, a year before, we did a program for Up County, so we are getting more Up County people applying for the program. So it is an uptick.
Okay. Okay. And then you mentioned National Association of Counties, NACO. Do you have opportunities to talk to your other colleagues from different regions and different states about best practices and perhaps implementing those practices here in Montgomery County?
We have been on calls with that, with NACO, yes.
Okay. That's awesome. Rachel,
Yes.
JCA is a friend of the Commission on Aging, and I know that you'll offer a number of programs. So in addition to transportation, do you else have anything upcoming that you would like to share with us that we should know about?
Sure. One of the things that we also do are senior employment programs, and that's been particularly important the last year or so, as there have been an influx of federal employees into the job market. So, and a lot of those are people who are 50 and above. So we're trying to reach out to them as well. One of the programs that we do is a senior expo, where employers come. If they have 3 job openings or more, they can come and talk about their jobs and pitch them to older workers, and older workers have an opportunity to apply for those. And so that's a great program that we run. The next one is January 20th. We do them in Montgomery County. We also do them for outside of the county. This is a Montgomery County one on January 20th.
Okay.
You can still register for that. We also do something called Career Gateway, which is a really innovative program where we help people who are newly in the job market, either because they have left a long-time job or they are returning to the workforce after caregiving or other reasons for being out. And it helps them with skills like improving your LinkedIn or establishing a LinkedIn or learning about LinkedIn and improving your resume, modernizing it, knowing what buzzwords to use, those kinds of things. And that happens many times a year, actually, through September through June, I think is the biggest time.
Okay.
But the next one is in March, and that's a 4 or 5 day session where you're in class all day. And it really gives people an opportunity to come out of it much more prepared to be in this pool of job applicants, where we know there are dozens, if not hundreds, of applications for every job. So it's more and more important, especially for older adults, to have everything look crisp and be up to date. And this program really allows people to do that. So that's a great one too.
Thanks for mentioning that. I'll say we have 30 seconds left, so I definitely want you to have the last word here, but I talked to your colleague Jody at the top of the year. We talked about the Career Gateway and LinkedIn and all of the various access points that JCA provides for people to gain employment. So thanks for saying that again.
Thank you.
But is there anything else that you want to mention in 20 seconds or less?
I just think, again, that the programs we offer are all geared around healthy aging and making sure that people have access not just to medical care, but to all the other pieces that make healthy aging possible.
Thank you both for being here.
Sure.
I really
Thank you for
enjoyed the
having us.
conversation and the services that you all provide for older adults and
you
those
so
with
much.
disabilities.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, that concludes our program for today. As you can see, the voices of those 50 plus matter every day and in every way. To learn more about services for seniors in Montgomery County, please visit the Montgomery County Seniors website by visiting montgomerycountymd.gov/senior or call the Senior Resource Line at 240-777-3000. And as always, thank you for watching 50 Plus in Montgomery County.